been a while since we've been back. Welcome back to the Scoliosis Warrior podcast. I'm joined today by, I should basically just call you my co-host, Erin, because it seems like every podcast I've done in the past like 3 years has involved yourself. So you're really like, half of this podcast. You're the heart and soul of the podcast.
Love it, Eva.
But today, guys, our topic of conversation, Erin messaged me a couple of months ago, and we were talking about the plight of young mothers, or people who are just like time limited, and they're having like difficulty like finding that time to fit in care for their scoliosis. So this is something we wanted to kind of like delve into today and kind of share with you like our experience of it coming from me, who's currently has 1.5-year-old, and Erin, who currently has you've two adolescent boys, Erin, don't you?
Yep. Two boys, 13 and 15.
Yeah, and I'm sure for yourself as well, being, a busy business owner and all the other things you've going on, author, speaker, etc. It is hard to actually fit in like taking care of you and your spine as well. So I want to ask you, Erin, like give me an experience of what it was like for you, postpartum after you had your two sons. What was your experience then of looking after your scoliosis, and how what have you learned along the way in the last 13 to 15 years? What has changed? Any tips like you can share with people to help them out?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, when you have one kid and it's a rough transition from being pregnant and you're not sleeping very well at the end of it, but you still have your time. You still have time to do whatever you want. I mean, you think you're busy and then you add kids and you're like, I had, I had no idea that I was not busy then. And then you add in, you know what I mean? And then you add in another human and you're just like, this is crazy. How am I going to find time for myself? And then you add a second one in and you're like, oh, I will have 0 minutes to myself for the next extended decade of my life plus. And I don't regret it, but it really opened my eyes to be like, all right, I have to figure out a time in my day to figure out how to care for myself. And early mornings is what works, continues to work for me now, and worked for me back then. I'm an early morning person. Let me go to bed at 8 p.m. Let me wake up at 5 a.m. when my house is quiet and just give me a lovely cup of tea and my favorite podcast or my favorite daily devotional or some music. And I can have a calm mind. I've slept, or at least I've slept for a few hours, depending on how my sleep was that night. And I'm just in a good place. And I'll just get 30 minutes of movement. And I mean, I'm not going to go run out 10 miles in the morning at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's a time for me to focus and move my body. I still do it today. I did it this morning. I woke up at 5:10 and I just was feeling quite decrepit. And I got my cup of tea and I came and I put my favorite podcast, or put my favorite devotional on the Glorify app. And I just moved for 30 minutes and it was lovely. I moved my wall bars. I moved my reformer. I rolled my legs out for a little bit. And then another thing that I add in, I went and I read the word for a little bit. I read the Bible for a little bit, and I do it on a coffee table in my living room. And I will stretch my legs out while I'm doing it because I can do that all at the same time. And I did that for another 10 minutes. My mind was in a good place. My body was in a good place. And then my family woke up. And then I know for myself during the day, I don't have time. Or if I do have time, my mind is rolling and is working on other things. I'm making phone calls and I just don't have the time to like have a calm mind, have a calm spirit, listen to what my body needs and give it the time that it needs. Unless during the day I go and take a class somewhere, like I take a class from one of my teachers where someone else is telling me what to do and is analyzing what needs to happen with my body. What about you, Eva?
Yeah, like the thing is, I was kind of thinking about this question, and I know what works for me personally, but I also know that I suppose I'm fortunate enough that I am like I'm self-motivated to take care of my back because I I know everyone understands like the benefits of doing it, but I think for maybe certain people it's either like a mental block or like a motivational block. Like I don't have any of those things. So um I know like even if I was God forbid like run over by a tractor, I'd still find some sort of way of fitting it in. So for me it's generally when the baby naps. I will get a bit of work done, and then granted she goes down for a good nap, then that's when I will do my own training and take care of my body. Or it's when she's in the pram, part of my kind of what I suppose you'd call like self-care training is doing my running or my walking every day. So I can kind of combine those things together where I am walking the dog at the same time I have him strapped around me and I have the baby in the buggy and then I'm running at the same time. So I think combining things is really useful like when you're a parent because yeah, sometimes you don't have a minute to yourself. But I also think your your uh your method is fantastic as well as getting up that bit earlier so that you actually have that calm and peaceful time because you're right, like if you're doing it with a kid around, like you can't fully concentrate on it. You always have something else in the back of your mind, so you can never really like yeah, calm your mind, clear your mind and really get into it. But I wonder, Erin, for people who for whatever reason they have a block in motivation or they can't seem to muster up the mental fortitude in order to do it. Like, what would you say to those people?
Well, interestingly, so about 2 years ago, I started just mulling around with that idea because throughout the hundreds, thousands, I don't even know at this point, of people that have come through Spiral Spine virtually or in person or scoliosis retreats, um, I think a mental piece is huge. The mental block is huge. They're scared of moving. They don't know what to do. They feel like they're so busy, but when they do have time, sad, angry, fearful, something blocks them emotionally from just doing it. And so I started I started just letting that roll around my head. I'm like, well, how can I help people with that? And so actually last year I launched at Spiral Spine on Demand. Um, and so people it's a streaming service that you can go on. And I think at this point, my staff and I have like 100 videos. Some are 5 minutes, some are 20 minutes, some are an hour long, some are on equipment, some are not. And actually, if we analyze the data on the people that have been doing this, and everyone's favorite things are when I video record myself in my house at 5:30 in the morning, and I call it Erin's morning movement. And I just felt like people needed to see like what real life is. So, like, I have no makeup on. My hair is probably thrown in a ponytail. It's not even brushed. I like usually have a bra on, but like sometimes it's just pajamas. I barely move. I look like an 80-year-old woman. And I'm just like, and I'm like, I feel like a tin man. And I'm like, and I put a microphone on. It's dark in the house, so I have to put a light on. And and like my octave in my voice is dropped an entire octave lower. My voice is dropped an entire octave lower because I haven't spoken to anyone yet that day. And it is just it is slow movement. And I found it interesting because we have some of my teachers are on there doing stuff, really great sequences for Scully. And Erin's morning movement is by far everyone's favorite things that they do. And I find it interesting because it just opens my eyes to everyone that they just want to understand and they want to see that even like you and me, Eva, like that the fight's real. Like that you and I don't wake up in the morning and like our bodies are perfect and you're able to do your 8 pull-ups in the morning, which I'm totally envious of that you can do 8 pull-ups.
Far from it at that time in the morning, God. There's no way.
Exactly. And I just think that people want to see real. They want to see what does real evil look like at 5 o'clock in the morning? Who she can't when she can't move. I loved you posting some stuff on Instagram when your daughter was really little. And then you did the same things. And when you were working out and she was like she was maybe on a mat and you were kind of doing some planks and some things around her. And I loved it because I had to giggle every time I looked at it because like you would have to stop about every minute because she'd like roll over or she'd sit up. Or then when she started crawling, then she would like crawl out the door. And you were like, okay, I got to go get her again. And it's real. And I feel like while I am grateful for people who put different, videos out there and their bodies are perfect and their hair is perfect and their face and their makeup is perfect and their choreography is perfect, it does not help people who have scoliosis, who have a chronic condition, who have to take care of it every day, if not every few days for the rest of their life. Like it doesn't help bridge that gap from like the reality of where they're living to the reality of like, I got to find some motivation internally to start moving. And I've got to do this daily. And I need to find peace that I enjoy this. So I don't even remember what your question was for me, but I just think I just think that people need to understand like the real fight. Like it's a fight. It is a real fight. Like and I'm going to be really honest with everybody. I have found if I do not do my movement in the morning and it's just like it's baby movement, it's baby strength work. And then if I don't put it in my schedule with someone else telling me that I have to do something, I will not move later in the day because I will fill it up with meetings with my staff. There's just so much like we're working with an occupational therapy department at Belmont University. We may be working with the physical therapy department. We're doing research with them for scoliosis. We have an intern. We have an occupational therapy capstone doctoral student with us every winter and spring. And I mean, we're so busy at the studio doing really cool stuff in the realm of scoliosis and all these things that I don't care for myself. So I know if it's later in the day, I either have to book a lesson with someone at my staff or like I've started booking with a yoga practitioner that I really like because like my priorities will be on everything and everyone else and not me.
Totally. And I think it's about having that self-awareness to know what you personally need to do in order to make it a habit. Like for you, it's getting up that bit earlier, or it's like blocking out that time where like you physically can't do anything else because you're in a class and someone is telling you what to do. For other people, like for me, it's um doing it when the baby naps or um habit stacking things together, like going out for the walk, but then walking the dog at the same time and walking the and putting the baby in the stroller. But it's about knowing how to make it work in the context of your own life. I thought that was interesting what you said about a lot of people with scoliosis. Maybe they do have a bit of time, but they don't really know what to do. And I think in that instance, it can be very overwhelming for people with scoliosis because maybe they feel if they do something wrong in inverted commas, they might hurt themselves, but it might make their scoliosis worse. Um, so what would you say to that person, Erin, who has the kind of the fear of God in them that they're they don't know what to do to make themselves feel better?
I think community is really important when it comes to that. When you're by yourself, uh, it's hard. You start hearing voices and you start doubting. And my suggestion would be either if you have someone that knows scoliosis in your neck of the woods, get a virtual or get an in person with them. If there's a studio, Eva, you and your partner are about to start a big studio from what I hear, which is really exciting. And
Yes, we're very, very excited now. We're hoping to open next week now, Erin. We've got the reformer set up. I'm getting my training next month in reformer. Already have my mass. So yeah, I'm excited for this new venture now. And my partner actually is getting trained up in the Rigo method for scoliosis, which I believe is kind of similar to Shrot, but a different kind of subcategory. So he's getting trained up in that anyway. So we're
brilliant.
hoping together that we'll be able to cater to more people in Southwest Ireland who have scoliosis.
Amazing. We need more of that. More of that. That's amazing. And if you're blessed to be around someone like Eva or myself that has a studio that knows how to do that, go to them. Oh my goodness, go to them. When you have community and you have people and you develop friendships, that will be a huge motivator. And I know I hear everyone saying, but I don't live near Eva and I don't live near Erin. I hear you. I hear you. And if that's you, you know, I'm not a big fan of COVID, but I will say a blessing that came out of the COVID world is that everyone knows how to do things virtually now. Everyone knows how to teach virtually. There are group classes that are virtual. Like we have a group class that's a scoliosis group class that's a virtual group class. I think it's Tuesdays at noon, and one of our Scoli teachers teaches it. And there are so many ways that you can connect in. There are like we have the scoliosis care package. So it's 3 virtual lessons and 2 videos. So it's like a lesson, and then you get a video of the teacher and they send you your homework of them doing it for you. And then you do it with them with the video.
Oh,
And
that's
then you have
fantastic. That's
yeah, and then you do a
great.
virtual lesson again. And then you get a 25-minute video and you do it with them and you practice working yourself out at home. And then you have another lesson, virtual lesson. And if you are in the middle of nowhere and there's no practitioners around you, which is for a lot of people, then you need to develop ways that you can start doing this stuff on your own. And it's okay. It's okay. You can do that. So you can do spiral spine on demand where you have all these videos. Book a lesson with you, book a virtual with you every once in a while. Eva, book a virtual with me every once in a while. I mean, or my staff. I've got a staff of 14 that can do this. I mean, I want, over the years, I've just learned that there are so many different situations that people with scoliosis live in, different parts of the world, different time zones of the world. We were having someone who's having a hard time. They want to book a virtual with us, but they live in Bali. I'm like, I am not going to do a virtual with you at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not. So,
No, no, not the money's worth that. No.
yeah, and none of my staff are willing to do it either. Surprise, surprise.
No,
I'm like,
hide and seek.
okay, that's right. So in my head, I'm like, well, Eva's 5 time zones or 6 time zones closer to her. That might work out. Or let's figure out a virtual option that is already canned, that's already videotaped, like Spiral Spine on Demand. And I just think that you have to figure out, I don't know, even so, if we were going to break this down, what would be the top 3 most important things for someone with scoliosis to like think through on why they're not working out on their own? And workout, I don't mean we have to be like superhero Eva here, who's like running ultra marathons after giving birth, a year and a half ago. I understand some of you may aspire to do what Eva's doing, but some of you may feel like you are an utter failure in life because you are not a superhero like Eva. So,
Would you stop her? No, listen, it's relative to everyone's life, and I didn't start doing that overnight. It was built up over many, many years. So anyone who thinks they're a failure for that, but please don't, because it wasn't an overnight success. It's many, many, many years in the making.
yep. And so, I mean, this is me just brainstorming because I have honestly not really put this much thought into like, what are the top three things that would be a hindrance to someone with scoliosis actually moving on their own and making this priority? And then what are some solutions to helping them come over that?
It's very individual to one's own particular life situation. I think a problem we probably have in modern day society, Erin, is the curse of busyness. Is that everyone is so freaking busy and like their schedules are jam packed from morning to evening that they're exhausted and they're like depleted, like physically, mentally, emotionally, and maybe they have a stressful job, like a busy home life, cleaning, cooking, shopping, working, that like when all those things are said and done, like that, their scoliosis is the last is the last thought of the day. And that this is something I often have thought about, especially since becoming a mother, is the idea of simplifying your life, by prioritizing the things that are important to you. And I would say for people with scoliosis that it is like if you want to if you want to feel good, if you want to have like good quality of life, then you need to make your scoliosis care a priority, and you need to think about how that's going to fit into your day. If not every day, then every couple of days. But you can't just leave it as an afterthought. You maybe need to think about like other things that you can let slide into the background, or maybe pass that responsibility off in some way, shape, or form so that you can look after you. What do you think on that, Erin?
I would totally and utterly agree with that statement. We are so busy. And in our modern world, our minds race at huge, fast speeds with our phones. And I think as I was actually thinking about this podcast this morning, when I was moving, the word rhythms of life kept coming to mind. And just, it has to be a rhythm and something that you look forward to, just like you wake up, you get a cup of tea. It's I wake up, I get a cup of tea, I come into my office slash home studio and I work out. It's a rhythm of my day. And it's something that I look forward to, but it's just like I don't have to think that I wake up and I put the tea kettle on. It's just the rhythm of my day. And in the morning, it's best for me. Some of you, actually, I have some clients that their rhythm starts once their kids go off to school. Their kids go off on the school bus, they take a deep breath, and it's like the first moment of the day at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning that they can take a deep breath and actually figure out what their body needs, and then they can look on their own body and deal with it. So I would say that that's really, really important on when can you give yourself 30 minutes or however much time you desire. I allocate about 30 minutes, unless I'm paying someone to work me out, and then it'll be an hour. So find the rhythm of your day that you can slide it in. Like what moments of the day are not good for you? Like for me, once I get into like the late afternoon and evening time, I'm tired and I don't want to think about my body. I just want to be with my family. I might go be in my gardens outside. I might swim in my pool with my family. Like we cook all of our meals from scratch at home, which I'm pretty sure you do too as well. And I mean,
Is
at
it?
nighttime, yeah, at nighttime, that's what we do. I'm with my family and we're cooking and we're just spending time. So me working out at night or late afternoon, that's not going to happen. So I have to find another time that's going to work for me.
Yeah, it's kind of I suppose similar to like brushing your teeth. It's something that is just you just do it. Like you don't have to think about like brushing your teeth. It's just it's just a habit that you have done, well, hopefully you have done your whole life. And I think that's how you have to make the scoliosis care as well, is yet finding that time in the day in which you do it, but also not really having to think about it that much, like having your routine that you go to where you're not like thinking, oh, what do I do for my scoliosis today? It's like, no, I'm doing my on-demand video today. I'm doing a virtual class. I have my exercises here that I know like the back of my hand, and I have my routine all set. So then you can just execute on it, and you really don't have to put any conscious thought into it. Well, apart from obviously you do need to when you're doing the exercise for your body awareness, but you get what I mean. Like you have your routine planned out, and it's not like you have to spend any mental energy like actually planning that out.
Agreed. If you have to put mental energy into it, you're not going to do it. I
No,
mean,
no,
you're
it's too
going to find
exhausting.
it, it's like the easiest excuse ever to not do it. I don't know what to do. You're just not going to do it. So yeah. So what about motivation? So if we had three, one is finding the rhythm in your day. And like when you were running with your dog, I'm like, your dog, he's got to get out and run. Okay. So it's like almost that is almost part of your rhythm of your day. You know when your daughter sleeps and you're not going to run when she's sleeping. I mean, you can run when she's sleeping, but she's at home. But I mean, pushing her in a stroller and running your dog, it's probably going to happen at about the same time ish each day as it's put into a rhythm. What time of the day do you normally run at?
Usually between 10 and 11. And I suppose I have the motivation as well. It's like my dog has ADD. Like he, and if he doesn't run, he like is just, he's just bouncing off the walls. Like he's not a happy dog. And Eski as well, like she's used to getting that bit of fresh air every day, being outside, being in nature. And it's part of their routine as well. So like that's kind of like I'm motivated to run, but like some of the days I'm like, oh, I don't want to get out the door. Like if I don't, my alternative is stuck inside with an angry baby and like a hyper dog, and nobody wants that. So we're all happier like if we just go outside for that hour and get the job done.
So that has been put into a rhythm of your day. Eski knows that rhythm of her day, and your dog knows his rhythms of his day. Yeah. So everyone needs to figure out the rhythm of their day on being able to put these things into it. What about motivation
Like for motivation,
for you? Not necessarily other people, but for you.
uh, I suppose the motivation for me is that I just feel like I'm a better person when I do it. Like I feel like I'm less crabby. I'm a happier person. I've more energy. I've more focus. It's not even about like the way my body looks or anything like that. It's just that I feel better, and I feel like I'm a better kind of parent and just generally a better human when I do that, and I don't fly off the handle as easy if something annoys me. And you know, just if stuff crops up in your day, like I think you're better able to handle it when you've taken that time to look after yourself, like you know, not being in pain also is a very strong motivator. And I think a lot of people with scoliosis can relate to that. But still, there is people with scoliosis who, you know, they know all this. They know it. Like you don't have to say it to them, but for some reason, they still they still feel blocked. And what is that thing? What is that thing that's stopping them? I suppose it's different for everyone. What about you, Erin? What about you? What is your motivation for getting up at 5 a.m. and get the
I'll
job
answer
done?
that. I want to talk about the block thing. I think that's number three. So my motivation is decrease in pain. And pain, quote unquote pain, it's a rough word. I mean, I can't tell you how many, pain means so many different things to so many different people. Over the years, when people are like, I'm in pain. And in my head, I'm like, well, are we in emotional pain? Are we in psychological pain? Are, do we have just tight tissue? Do we have searing nerve pain? Are we in spasmic muscles? So pain means a lot of different things. And when I ask people, I'm like, well, what does pain mean? Tell me more. The people that are unable to articulate what that pain means, I think we probably have a little bit more of a complex, like polycausational situation with pain involved at that point. But um, right now, I don't have a ton of pain, but I feel stiff. I feel stiff. I haven't had like an awesome Pilates workout. I haven't been able to get into a rhythm. I was really, really sick for about 3 weeks, December to mid January, and I took a yoga class for the first time about 2 weeks ago, and I could barely hold a plank. Like just getting my strength back from doing zero movement for 3 weeks. And I did a yoga class a few days ago, and I was able to do a few chaturangas, which was beautiful. But it's slow. But my motivation is just to get rid of the stiffness, because if I feel tight in my body, if I feel like I have joints that are out of whack, I'm like what you said, my window of tolerance goes down for other people and other situations in life if my body doesn't feel very good. And it might have been like I've got a little bit of like bicep tendonitis just because this scoliosis shoulder is going forward. I just haven't
Mhm.
dealt with this stuff. Like I'll get rid of this. I'm not worried. I had PT yesterday to help me mobilize my shoulder. Like it's fine. But I just don't want to have that stuff. And if I deal with my scully and I just move on a daily basis, nothing crazy, but if I just move on a daily basis, like I don't have these things. But I didn't move for about 3 weeks because I was so sick. And now I'm just like digging myself out of the pit. So that is my current motivation. When I was a professional dancer, I had other motivations. I'm not a professional dancer. I'm a professional mom now. And
And business owner, Scully, superhero woman.
yes, and I've got other stuff. And I want to be able to, I want to be able to move. I want to be able to go to my kids' track meets and swim meets and robotics tournaments and take long walks with my husband without having my body hurt afterwards. I don't want my body to be the reason that I can't do something with my family. That's my motivation. So it's changed
Mhm.
over the years. It's changed over the years, and that's okay. And I'm sure it'll change as I continue to get older, and that's okay. So that's my motivation. So number three, I would love to go on this topic of blocked, because
Mhm.
if someone does have time but they choose not to exercise, I have many my clients, my staff, and I have many clients all over the world that have like full Pilates studios in their houses. They know what to do, and they still don't do it. So just brainstorming what are some reasons why some people may be blocked, as you and I are saying, and they're just the motivation's not there, but the time is there, the equipment's there, the money's there.
Okay, so I know for like some people that I work out with, yeah, they have all the equipment at home. Yeah, they know what to do, but some people actually need someone to tell them what to do, and they need to actually physically go somewhere so that they will do it. That's why I have a job, is people pay me to do that. And I think it's figuring that out for yourself. Like what you said, it's either morning time you do it, or you pay someone to like tell you what to do for an hour. So I think that is a big thing to assess for someone is like Yeah, do you actually need to just pay someone to get you to do it? And are you willing to make that investment? Is it worth it for you? Is it worth it for your long-term health? And really, is that what you need to actually do it on a consistent basis?
Yep. I totally agree. I one of the things that I've started doing, well, one of the things that's filling my life up right now is we're going to be launching, hopefully within the next 6 months, fingers crossed, it might be a little bit longer. It's a scoliosis certification program to teach practitioners what we do and step by step in the journey. And one of us was rolling around with the idea of calling it Scoli School for
Cool.
practitioners. So it's in the works. Um, as we were doing it, I was working with one of my staff that's helping me brainstorm about all of it. I was like, okay, so we're going to start with analyzing, and that's what we're going to start with. She was like, we do so much more before we get to analyzing at the studio, Erin. I was like, oh yeah, we do. I was like, what do we do? And so we started breaking it down. And we, so, like the analyzing part doesn't come till like module 3. Like we're at least solid 2 to 3 hours into all this before we actually get to analyzing the body in front of us. And one of the big things that she helped bring to my attention on what we actually do, we do a ton of kind of like psychoanalysis on people on what their motivations are. Because if I give my client a bunch of homework to do, but they have no motivation at home, it it was an absolutely worthless hour, and
Mm.
they're not going to continue to care for themselves. Versus if we kind of psychoanalyze where's the person at in their life right now, and we realize that I'm not even going to talk to them about at home options and working themselves out at home, getting equipment at home. They have time, energy, and money. I just need to hook them up with a teacher in the studio to get them 3 private lessons a week. And that's really what they want. Even though you and I, Eva, are like, we don't have time for that. We don't want to pay for that. That doesn't mean someone else doesn't want to do that. And so we spend a lot of time, and I think in the school, I think in general, yes, but in the scoliosis world in particular, you have to figure out like, where's your motivation? Where's your time? Where's your energy? What are the circumstances that need to happen in order for that to go forward? To the point that I actually tweaked things a few years ago at Spiral Spine, and I have a client care coordinator now. We handed that off to a different person maybe last year. And a key piece for her when she talks to people on the phone is to really psychoanalyze that, to figure out like personality, hooking the personality up with the teacher, because all these pieces have to work out in order for this person to want to continue to care for themselves. Hopefully, helping them along their journey to the point that they feel like they have enough knowledge and motivation and that they love themselves enough and they deem themselves worthy enough to care for themselves in order for them to work out on their own at home. But that journey is long, and I think this psychological, maybe medical trauma that people have been through, and we all carry a lot of stuff, especially in the world of scoliosis, and especially how much treatment someone has had and how much psychotherapy help they've had or not, how what the relationship was with their parents along the journey. All those things come into play.
Well, how were they treated at home in school? Like what words were used towards them? What words do they how do they speak to themselves? And what you said there about like, do they deem themselves worthy of taking care of themselves or what is their inner dialogue around their body, around their scoliosis?
Yep. I had the kids that my kids go to a college preparatory school, and I was we have many kids from that school that go to Spiral Spine. And I was at a football game this last year, sitting next to a dad whose daughter goes to Spiral Spine, and he was like, it was like he was telling me a big deep secret. He was like, Erin, my daughter comes to your studio. I was like, I know. He was like, do you know that her teacher is doing like more like psychotherapy work than necessarily like movement work. And I was like, yeah, I know. And I know that this daughter of his struggles with an eating disorder. And his he and his wife have not um, gotten psychotherapy work for her. And so it is a challenge in order to feel yourself worthy enough to care for your body. You can't go start giving them reformer exercises if you don't deem yourself worthy to be taken care of and you don't find worth in yourself and you can't love yourself. And so I was like, oh, I know. This teacher and I had in-depthly talked about. She was like, you cool? And sometimes I'll come in and I will see that they're what they're doing. And sometimes it's just very delicate work. And this teacher is sitting cross-legged next to her and she's talking to her. And I'm like, oh, we're doing therapy right now. We're doing therapy while she's continuing to slowly move her body. And it's interesting, and if that's where you're at, then you're probably not going to be able to work out at home right now. I hope one day you're going to be able to, but you might need some help along the way, and that's okay. Go find someone who can help you. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't mean you can go to a psychotherapist or and have them help you. A lot of our clients have therapists, and if you find a good practitioner who can also help you, and you can work on a lot of these things all at once, that's a beautiful thing too. But I think that blockage, as you so eloquently said before, is key. I think you have to acknowledge that. Um, I have a lot of clients who are like, I'm just too busy. And finally, finally I've started being blunt and I'm like, that's a lie. You're not too busy. And when I said that the first time, I was like, oh, that was
That's
really blunt,
harsh.
Erin. I know. But I'm oftentimes blunt, but it just spilled out so quickly out of me. And I was like, oh, it is a lie. It is a lie that we're telling ourselves that we're too busy. We all have the same 24 hours a day. And if we think we're too busy, then like what you said earlier, then we need to really like sit back. Maybe we need to cut some things from our life. Um, or it could be a mental blockage and we just need help. Helping just get through that. But
Yeah,
long
and it's painful. Like it's sometimes very like painful to acknowledge that there is something internally that is stopping you from giving yourself the love to actually take care of your body and delving into that. For most people, most people, I would say, do not want to do that. Like that's painful work. That's even more painful than physically working on your scoliosis. But I would argue if you don't do that, then you give someone an exercise program, it's worthless to them. It's worthless because
absolutely.
they haven't done they haven't deemed themselves worthy or given them given themselves the freedom yet to actually love themselves and therefore take care of their body.
I would also add in one more thing, and I think that a lot of people are also lonely. They feel lonely in having scoliosis. They don't know people that have scoliosis. Um, they haven't worked out in so long, and they feel embarrassed about going into a place to work out. And that's one of the things when I opened up Spiral Spine, I bought the building 2 years ago, and we moved in. I made an area in the front that has a beautiful little seating area, which I didn't have in my old studio, with coffee and tea. And I have, I realized before I bought the building that a lot of people are just lonely and they don't want to work out by themselves. They don't want to be by themselves more. And so I would just encourage you to kind of scan your emotions. And if lonely comes up, then go find a community that you can work out with. Some
Yeah.
of the virtual, yeah, some of the virtual clients that I have, they don't need me to work them out. They know what to do. When I get on with them, they are just like jibber jabbering about their day. And I will say, stop. This is what we're doing next. Da, 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 da. Okay, keep telling me about your story. Or be like, stop, put your right shoulder down. And I'm like, okay, keep telling me about your story. Because I realize, in our society, we don't really live in communal societies anymore. And people are lonely. And if that's you, okay, acknowledge that and let's figure out how to fix that. I started noticing at my studio when I opened this big studio up that we would have people that would stay 45 minutes to an hour after their lesson just to be around other people. And they started developing friendships in their group classes and they'd sit and talk. And yesterday I overheard people I didn't even know were friends. They were like, oh my gosh, let's take a walk. Okay, after next Wednesday's group class, that's great. Let's go take a walk and then let's go have lunch afterwards. And it just made me so happy that lonely for these people was a piece of their puzzle. And through working out, they have developed friendships. And that's a beautiful thing. We need more people. We need more friendships in our life. So
Yes, I can totally relate to that. I'd have similar in my classes where, some people are like they are lonely, and sometimes half the class, like, you don't get anything done because people are just talking, and you feel like, oh God, am I just a crap trainer or whatever? But no, actually, the reason they're coming to you is because they crave connection. They crave being in a community of other like-minded people. And yeah, I'd have the same thing. Like, I'd hoosh people off, like, when I finish the class, because I have to put my daughter down, and they're outside the house, like, talking for another 45 minutes. And the same as yourself, like, now they've organized to do like a hike this weekend, and they do this they do this all the time. And yeah, I think that community is so, so important. It's ancestrally where our DNA comes from, is to be part of a tribe, be part of a community, and society today, like, it doesn't lend well to creating that. So we really have to create that for ourselves in order to feel that wholeness and that connection.
and if you are unable to do that by a studio that you trust for your body, for your Scully body, where you're at, or a clinic, or if that's just not there, at least right now, it may change in the future. But if it's not there right now, then we go virtual. We can find a community virtually in order to do that. There are. It's a lie to say that there's not, because there are. There are there are connections. And like we've had in one of my teachers' virtual Scully group classes that happens every week. She told me about this a few weeks ago. She actually has a client who apologizes every time she can't make the class. And I was like, hmm, interesting. I'm like, it's not a big deal if you can't make it. But we started to realize that this client, it's a rhythm of her week that is putting a rhythm into her schedule every week. And she really, really likes the connection of the people in the class and the teacher. And she craves that. And she craves the love and the community and the guidance and the direction. And I was like, how interesting is that? So I just would encourage everyone to just take a deep breath. And as you're thinking about everything that Eva and I talked about, just what's the rhythm? Do you need education? Do you need community? Scan your emotions. Just what are the last words that you have about this, Eva?
Yeah, just for everyone to, like, while we're going through all these areas of, blockage, motivation, finding the rhythm to your day, kind of ask yourself, like, what's coming up for you that's stopping you from, you know, making your Scully care a priority? Is there some food for thought on the topics we've touched on? Is there maybe something else? I really thought what you said there and about you know, looking into therapy if you need to, because that's a huge part of the puzzle for people with scoliosis, is do, doing that work either with someone, or, like, on your own, journaling, or um but But looking into what that is personally for you, and maybe in 2025, considering, um, how you can address these issues and how you can make yourself a priority, even if it's only for a couple of times a week. But like, what is it that you need to do to have 2025 be your best school year yet?
I love it. I love it. I have learned to cherish my time that I get to myself and this my little office at home. And I didn't realize how much I have learned to love my space that I've created. Um, and the time that I have until we were thinking about moving my office. My husband would get my office, and I would get another place in the house. And I was like, why is my anxiety like going way up? And finally, my husband was like, "Babe, are you okay? Like, what's going on?" I was like, "It's totally like a very rash thing." I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Okay, like it's fine. Like you can keep your office." That was a very big response for something that was so little. I don't think that's what's going on. What's going on? And I realized that it throughout the seasons of my life with my body and having kids and being a mom, and every few years you're as a mom your seasons change as your kids seasons change. Like soon, what are you going to do when Easky's no longer napping? It's only like a year away. Your rhythms are going to change. If you guys have another baby, oh girl, your rhythms are going to change again, and it's okay. And your eyes got so big, but you're like, oh no, what did
Oh
Erin
God.
just say? The fear of death comes over your eyes. I, I realized for myself that I have worked so hard to to create a love for myself and for my body. And I have put in so much work in therapy and freedom prayers and lessons and finding different rhythms and different stages in my life and making my home studio feel like it's a place that I want to go to. That I was like, yes. And he was like, I wasn't trying to take anything away from you. Oh my goodness, sweetheart. But it helped me take a step back and be like, wow, I've put in a lot of work in order to get to this place. And I hadn't realized how much work I put in to learning to love, to care on my body in my like morning Scully movement sessions at 5:10 in the morning for 30 minutes each morning. And it's been a lot of work. And I've learned to not dread them, but I've learned to love them. And I would rather wake up to have those cherished 30 minutes in the morning by myself where I get to tune into my body, where my mind isn't racing, than sleep for 30 more minutes. And I think when my husband and I were talking about moving my office to another room in the house, I realized how much I love it and how much work I've put in to learn to love it. So I just would encourage everybody, if you don't love working out and you don't love your body and you don't love your space, okay, what's the next best step? We don't know how to, you might not be where I'm at, you might not be where Eva's at, but what's the next best step? What's the next best step after that? And if you don't know, book a virtual lesson with me or my staff. Go to Spiral Spine on Demand. All of it's on spiralspine.com. Come to a Scully retreat. Like there's so many tools. And I'm pretty sure once Eva gets out of this baby phase and they've got a studio, I'm sure more cool stuff's going to come out from Eva. But just the next best step. Just what's the next best step?
Yeah, like that's so true. Like you don't automatically have to love it. Erin has had to work on it over the years. I've had to work on it over the years. So like you might innately just actually like working out, and that's fine. That's okay. But there are little things you can do to make it a little bit more palatable for you. I think that's very true what you said about creating your own little sanctuary. if working out from home is what you choose to do, or if you choose to go somewhere, picking a place that you like the vibe and you like the energy of it, because it's so important. If we're going to spend like a decent portion of our week somewhere, it has to be a place that we love to go, that makes us feel positive about life and about ourselves, and uh we get the choice to choose what that is. Like we don't have to do something or go somewhere that, you know, doesn't make us feel light and doesn't make us feel joyful. We have the choice to choose what that is.
Amen, sister. Preach it. It's a complicated journey. I think I've walked along the journey with some Scully clients for 20 years now, and it's a journey. And most of them now have full equipment setups in their house, and and they just see me every once in a while because they can do it on their own, but they need me to help untwist a few things whenever they get twisted up, and they really, they have their monthly lesson because they just also like being with me and talking with me and being along the journey. And that's a beautiful thing, for you to find your person. I mean, we just need to keep going. So, and our journeys change. So I just would encourage everyone to just take a deep breath, go through everything that Eve and I were talking about, and what's the next best step? You don't need to know the whole thing. Just what's the next best step?
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to like overwhelm yourself, but like, what could you do today? What's just one step forward for you? Like you can figure it out after that. You don't have to have it all figured out at once, but what can you do today to put you on this journey of taking care of your body?
Yes. Yes. Oh, Scully Beauties, take the next best step. You can do it. You can do it. You can always reach out to Eva or I or me if you need just help. You just don't know what to do. Eva and I would love to help you on your journey.
Yeah, a lot of food for thought in that today, Erin. So I probably should have said it at the start, but I encourage you to take notes. Digest. It's a bit late now.
Well, you can listen to this while you're doing your Pilates workout, while you're doing your own workout at home for your Scully next time. Have a notepad next to you. It's all right.
Oops.
It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Oh, Eva, I've got to head out because I've got to go to the studio. I've got a client in 30 minutes, and I believe Easie's probably going to be waking up from her nap here soon.
Yes, I'm surprised she hasn't now. But listen, Erin, thank you so much for today. Absolute pleasure, girl. I cherish our conversations, and I hope that the listeners out there get a lot from this. So thank you for your time, Erin. I really appreciate it, Mrs. And you have a lovely Friday.
Thank you. Oh, I love chatting with you, Eva. It makes me so happy. All right, Scully Beauties, go out there and go love on yourselves. Bye, Eva.
We love you. See you guys. Bye, Erin.
Bye, guys. Bye,
Bye.
Eva.
Thanks, Erin.